Haidete o Philoi. I'm Fletcher from amindforlanguage.com, and you're listening to Greeking Out, a podcast for ancient and Koine Greek learners full of tools, tips, and possibly tirades on learning Greek using comprehension-based methods. If that isn't familiar to you, check out episode 0, the manifesto, for more info. Welcome to episode 0, the manifesto. The goal is to lay out some of the principles that shape how I think about language learning, and to do so quickly. As I understand it, the research on how humans learn languages says basically one thing. It's all about communication. Humans learn, or better, acquire languages by understanding the messages that they are hearing or seeing. Think about how kids learn a language. They start by a year or more of people talking to them in simple sentences and ideas and concepts. They don't memorize anything or have special classes. They begin by understanding a lot of input, and that input is simple. We don't talk about astrophysics with a kid. We start with mommy and daddy, and then see spot run. Another point is that listening comes before speaking for kids. They get lots of input that's simple. Their brains figure things out, and then they start speaking. Sure, they make mistakes, but those get sorted out through exposure to more input. They start speaking and eventually writing. Input comes before output. And it works basically this way for everybody, whether you're a kid or an adult. Adult learners face two other problems that kids don't. One, we're often afraid to make mistakes, and two, the material we have to work with is often too complex and too difficult. If materials are too complex and get that way too quickly, it becomes hard to understand. When we're not understanding, our brains aren't really acquiring language, and we're also tempted to quit. But adult learners can also use strategies to increase our understanding, which are things babies and young kids don't do, such as looking things up, or reading an explanation that helps us systematize what we've been exposed to. So what does it mean for us? It means find materials and classes you can understand and work with these. But understanding doesn't mean getting every word or piece of grammar. It means understanding the message being communicated. So if you can follow the story and get the gist, bingo, you're learning. And this understanding can come from visuals or pictures or videos or acting things out or, whatever, as long as it helps you understand around 95% of what's being communicated in one way or another. Your brain will sort out the details given enough time and exposure, and you will acquire the language. So what about memorization or flashcards? From my perspective, these help insofar as they increase understanding. I'd say the same thing is true for explicit grammar study. If these things help you understand something so that your brain can acquire the language, go for it. But realize that they only help indirectly. So spend more time on other materials, like reading an easy story or listening to a recording of it or watching a simple YouTube video. And there are a lot of great creators out there now making these things. So that's how I think about how to go about learning a language. It's based on the comprehensible input hypothesis from Stephen Krashen, which you can find out more about elsewhere. Long story short, go find stuff you can understand pretty well and work with that material. Be patient, rinse, repeat, and you're on the right road to learning a language. Intro and outro music is Funky Thanksgiving by Admiral Bob, used with gratitude under a Creative Commons 3.0 attribution license. The track can be found at dig.ccmixer.org.